if you want to understand IOTA, first of all, I think the most important part is that everything that we do is driven by a vision of bringing Web3 into the real world. It has, from the beginning, the thing. I mean, we started with the idea of the machine economy, yeah?
Yo, GM. Today's guest is Phylo, head of the Builder Program, Validator Relations, and everything infrastructure-wise integrations at IOTA, a project that's been building since 2016 and is now entering a brand new era with the launch of IOTA Rebase. We'll dive into what this transition really means from its original Tangle architecture to a fully decentralized DPoS Layer 1 chain. We'll explore validator economics, smart contract design, IOTA's unique gas model, and the broader vision for real-world adoption. This is BlockHunters Voices, the podcast where cool kids from the blockchain space. I'm Joachim Vuju, your host. Welcome, my man. How are you?
Hi, Joachim. Hello, everyone. Thanks to be here. Great to talk again to you after a couple of months. So exciting to tell you a little bit what's going on IOTA.
Yes, really excited as well, but I usually like to start from the beginning and actually know more about the person that I'm talking with.
Yeah.
So before IOTA, before crypto, what did your journey was before Web3, before tech? How was your life before entering the rabbit hole?
Okay. I'll try to keep it short because kind of there's like a quite a long journey with a lot of turns because I'm actually quite old. So anyway, I'm a German guy basically, and my first life was in the German chemical industry. I made my bachelor. I've been an engineer for over 10, 12 years, doing a lot of stuff with steam and all kind of chemical production things. Then basically I had the first shift in my life and left Europe and Germany and became a dive instructor and went to Asia. I lived a couple of years in the Maldives and after that moved to Bali in Indonesia, where I've been doing diving and tourism stuffs for around 10 years or 8 years or something like this. And then basically came Web3 around the corner. While I've been always interested in crypto, never basically doing something professionally there. I've been just like an IOTA community member, tried to do quite a lot of things as a community member, what you can do. But then basically COVID came around the corner. Tourism died everywhere in the world, and I didn't have a job anymore basically as a dive instructor. And this kind of gave me a lot of time that I invested into IOTA because there was nothing much else to do basically while COVID. And so I got pulled into the project, became community manager first, and from there on fulfilled several roles until where I'm now with the team basically.
To be honest, my friend, I really envy you. It seems like you really had an adventurous life.
Yeah, I mean,
So,
probably yes, yeah. Yes. Yeah.
so basically, IOTA has been around 2016, but you later joined after COVID, so after 2020.
Yes. So I mean, I explored or I figured out crypto in beginning of 2018. After the first crazy December 2017, while I was basically still in dive business and not really involved in these things. And then I heard about Bitcoin. I bought my first Ethereum for $80, and then IOTA came along. Some guy told me about it, and it sounded interesting and sounded somehow not as crazy and scammy as as all the other crypto stuff. And yeah, then I dived in, and then from 18 till 21, been just in the community. And 2021, I joined the team, and yeah, since then, basically, it's now already 4 years part of the foundation.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually crazy that IOTA has been around since such a long time and survived all these market cycles, and really evolved significantly over time. But tell me a little bit, given this long history, what motivated the team to launch a new chain now under the IOTA Rebase initiative? And more specifically, why the transition from the original Tangle architecture to a new decentralized proof of stake chain? What are
Yeah.
the strategic and technical reasons behind this shift?
So I would say it like this. If you want to understand IOTA, first of all, I think the most important part is that everything that we do is driven by a vision of bringing Web3 into the real world. It has, from the beginning, the thing. I mean, we started with the idea of the machine economy, yeah? IoT. Your toaster has a wallet, your television has a wallet, and your fridge has a wallet, and they all the time interact with each other and pay each other. This was basically the idea of 2016. And also the idea was always that or solving cryptographic puzzles while using a lot of energy for it, and it's kind of spending a lot of transaction fees for. There was always the idea there is something else there, yeah. And we introduced at this point of time the first direct acyclic graph instead of a blockchain. I think this was the big innovation that IOTA brought in 2015-16, the Tangle, which allows parallel execution of transactions. But the issue was always that the thing only really worked as under a semi-centralized attempt. Yeah, so we thought, okay, your toaster, they don't want to pay it. You can't have billions of devices that pay transaction fees all the time in these micro transactions. So we thought, okay, let's do something without transaction fees and figure out how we centralize this thing over time. And then market cycles happens, technical shifts happened, and IoT is not something that has really lifted off and is now kind of integrated. Now it's coming back. People call it DePIN now. But so I think the main important thing is that we learned that you need to adopt. Yeah. So everything that you thought of 2015-16, you need to be able to change and to adopt to new realities. Crypto is so young. We are all basically still only experimenting. Yeah, there is not a single architecture out there currently that I believe is ready for what we think is necessary for mass adoption. Yeah, so we want to bring crypto and Web3 ideas in front of normal people in their daily life. And for that, you need to adopt and you need to figure out which technology you need for that to make that happen. And we tried something in 2015, 16, 17. We did the first big change in 2021, where we figured out, okay, this kind of the ideas that we had in this time, they just don't make sense anymore. And so you can either choose to basically stagnate and say, no, you can't change the system ever again. It's like set in stone. But if you do this, you will just disappear into the void and become irrelevant. Yeah, this was an idea that was cool in 2017, but in 2025, nobody cares about that anymore. And everybody has learned so much more. So it's a constant evolution of your own ideas and your own perception of what is good that actually brings progress. Yeah? And so with the new tech stack now, we finally reach our first important goal to become really decentralized, which was one of the big critics against IOTA in the days where decentralization was actually very important, like 17, 18. currently the market is not really caring so much about decentralization anymore, where you have like roll-ups, single sequencer, centralized layer 2s and layer 3s and everything. So it's kind of blurred away. But for us, it's one of the core features that we always wanted to achieve. And so we finally made that. Not exactly as we envisioned in 2016 in the first white paper, but basically in the end, I think in a much better way, because
That's
we have
evolution, right?
we have understood that only because in 2016 a bunch of guys in a room came together and thought about that's going to change the world. You can't just stick to these things and just continuously hold onto such an idea if you actually know that it's not going to work out and that there are better solutions out there. Yeah. So, and this is open source development. We all basically build on the same thing. Yeah. We all build up on the achievements of others, and it would be stupid to not take what you find out there in the space and use it, adopt it to your own needs, improve it, and this is basically how the whole space gets better. Yeah. So and this is what we've done, and so we're really happy that we found a new technical baseline architecture that first of all is decentralized and it just works. And up on this, we can use our experience that we gained over the last basically 10 years now to bring our own vision and own ideas into the tech stack and improve it in the direction where we want to go.
I feel when you said the real IoT, I feel it's like one of those terms like metaverse that was really, really hyped, and everybody was believed in, but everybody forgot about it and it just died, and nobody else is talking about it ever.
And you know, this is the strange thing in this market. It's always narratives, and it's a new narrative, and everybody's running and jumping behind this one, and now everybody runs behind AI, and then in 3 months everybody runs behind, I don't know, the next big thing. I think what we've learned over the years is that chasing narratives is not what is actually gonna make you survive, because if you only focus yourself on a narrative, you're just gonna disappear together with the narrative. And so for us, it's always about real use cases for real people, for real businesses that integrate Web3 and DLT ideas into actual some things that make sense. Yeah.
So if you want to describe IOTA in like just one sentence, is bringing Web3 into the real world?
Yeah, that's always, this has been basically the North Star from the beginning. It was IoT. It was always the way of like, there must be something that impacts and influences the daily life of everyone around. And if we want to be successful with the ideas of crypto, of decentralization, of trustless and permissionless things, which is already something very, very weird to normal people. Yeah, kind of why shouldn't I trust anyone, and why is this all important? So we need to find things that impact the normal life, and with this we can bring DLTs and crypto slowly into the society and into the daily life of people. And this is, in our opinion, the way how you actually achieve real adoption for crypto. It's like you need to get people actually use the thing.
Exactly. But can you tell me a little bit about your role? I mean, what are your core responsibilities day to day? What does Phylo do at IOTA? Because I think nowadays, especially, you have tons of work. You talk a lot of validators with a lot of teams. Tell me.
Yes. So I'm in the ecosystem team. Ecosystem team is basically taking currently care mostly about everything around Web3, and I mainly take care about everything around infrastructure integrations. Yeah, so if you launch a new network, you need so much different things. You need to build up everything from oracles, from wallets, from SDKs, from validators, from nodes, from RPCs, all these things you need to bring in. You need to talk with a lot of people, get good deals, and compare offers, and always try. That's my thing. I always try to get the best infrastructure into IOTA so that builders and users find it easy and find everything that they need. So that's the one part. Infrastructure integrations. The other part is I'm still taking care of community management, but we have a community manager, but it's basically still under my thing. We have a builder program. We have a grant program, and all these things I'm involved. So it's quite interesting because I'm doing a lot of different things, and try to be useful wherever I can in the foundation. Yeah, so I have a lot of interactions with engineering and R&D every day because this is tech, and I'm in the middle between tech and BD. Yeah, so I try to connect the dots, make sure the tech team gets what they need, make sure the builders get what they need, and especially that all the things kind of keep talking to each other and communicate to each other, that we not wasting resources, everything happens in time, and basically things happen and come into fruition, and the network goes live in the end. Yeah.
You're like a producer, in media or cinema. That's the term. You just get all the researchers, all the responsible people.
Kind of thing. Yeah. Try always to stick everything together. Yeah. And as part of the infra part, the last 6 months have been, of course, heavily around validators. Yeah, so I've been basically started like last year in summer, when we knew that the upgrade will come and everything will happen. I started to reach out to validators in the space to get them into the network. Yeah, so this was a large task, and it was a super interesting part because we've never interacted with validators before because there was no proof of stake. So there was for us the first attempt to figure out, okay, what is a good validator? What do we need from them? What can they offer us? And so we brought them into the testnet. We started our public testnet, and we started the testing with the validators for the new network. I reached out to you guys. I think I got recommended to you guys from some other team. And so this was a real interesting part over the last 6 months. Speaking with a lot of people, I don't know, had 10 or 15 validator meetings per week with new teams, and figured out if that's a fit for us, if we actually want to have them as part of the testnet. And this was a huge and really interesting journey.
We'll get more on that later, but I think right now it's important to talk a little bit about IOTA Rebase, to really explain what are the most underrated or misunderstood aspects of this upgrade, because there is a lot of things happening in the back end right now.
Yes. So IOTA Rebase is, first of all, the reason why we did it is we needed programmability on the layer 1. Our layer 1 before was basically only a UTXO ledger. You could send tokens back and forth. There were some simple scripts that executed stuff like time locks, but there was no utility and no way that a developer could actually build a smart contract on our layer 1 and execute some logic there. Yeah, we figured out that this is a big issue, and so we kind of 2 years ago already launched IOTA EVM to bring the first programmability into the network and give builders a first playground to start around. But Rebase is now bringing smart contracts to layer 1. We did a lot of research in which would be a useful smart contract language, and we clearly made a decision that we think MoveVM is kind of the future when it comes to programming languages and VMs in Web3. Solidity and the EVM are still, of course, king, but seeing the capabilities that a builder has with MoveVM, the security level, the ease of use, and the features that you have with that one, we believe that this is going to take over a lot of share from the EVM space in the next couple of years. And for our specific use cases that we need, and for the partners that are building real-world use cases on IOTA, this is a great language, yeah, because it's EVM is great, but the EVM has also a lot of issues. Solidity is kind of a weird programming language. So once our engineering teams looked into all available architectures out there, they basically said, okay, it needs to be Move, it needs to be an object-based ledger with the Move VM. And this was the first decision, which then led to the rest. Yeah. So in Move, you have basically kind of two directions. So you have Aptos and you have SUI. And SUI did fit much better to us because SUI has the whole architecture is built up on objects. And we are coming from a UTXO system, which is kind of, you can translate UTXOs in objects. So because we need to transition an already production running live mainnet into a new layer one, this also means we need to transition all balances, all accounts, everything that happens on the network into the new network. And the object-based approach makes much more sense for that. And yeah, in that architecture, we found basically everything that we were looking for. You have a very good consensus. It's really fast. You have delegated proof of stake. And the object-based system with MoveVM is great for builders to build really cool business logics on that. Yeah.
And what exactly was the community's response to all these changes right now? Because you guys are still pretty big. I think you are trading at 600 million market cap or something like that.
Yes. It was a real, first of all, it's of course a real difficult thing that we did here. Yeah. So when you are in IOTA since 2017, there was basically the promise that IOTA will always be feeless. Yeah. This is one of the ideas we had. Yeah. It needs to be feeless. Then the idea was, okay, we don't need miners, we don't need proof of stake, we don't need all these things. We will magically figure out a scientific trick to build a consensus mechanism that works without fees, works without proof of stake, works without proof of work, and somehow makes the thing secure. Admitting that this is not actually really possible, and that fees are not our enemy. It's okay to have very low fees. Kind of, it's not something that is a USP to not have fees. Yeah. So,
I mean, you're a business at the end of the day. Why don't you have fees?
Not even that. I mean, we don't see the IOTA Foundation especially as a business. We are a public good in the end. We are a non-profit foundation and organization, but fees fulfill an important purpose in the network. They are spam protection. Yeah, so they avoid that anyone can just come around and use the network for free and use all available resources for whatever kind of use cases. So you need to have a way of limit access to a network and avoid that anyone just builds scripts and spams the network into death without any costs. Yeah. So for community members that have been around with us from the beginning, these have been, of course, some difficult, let's say, things to swallow. But in the other hand, seeing the advantages that you get out of it, that you actually have now a network that people can actually use to build something on it, which was just not possible before. And given that our partners kind of demand that, because we have quite a great adoption case, especially in trade finance. We have several countries onboarding into IOTA currently, and all of these need a programmable ledger. So we couldn't just say, okay, let's give us another 3-4 years. We try to figure out this great vision, because if that would be the case, they would just go somewhere else and build with anyone else. Yeah? So in order to fulfill our main goal of getting real world adoption onto Web3, you have sometimes, like I said, you have to adopt and you leave old ideas behind in order to actually fulfill the main goal. And the main goal is getting adoption into IOTA and getting companies and countries and people use it. And for that, you need a usable architecture that fits to the standards that the current market demands. And so this was, I think, for some people, a difficult decision. For other people, it was a relief that we actually finally will be decentralized and we become useful at the layer one. So in the end, I think the response in the community was really good, much better than we expected, and we see a lot of support now for that upgrade. So.
I'm really looking forward, but I'm curious to know more about you guys introduce a new staking and the new rewards model, especially fee burning and dynamic inflation. Can you tell me how those impact the network economics and the validator incentives?
This is the part. So kind of, if you go the route of delegated proof of stake, and if you want to have a decentralized network with a diverse set of validators, you need to figure out that they're not going to do this for free. So the network, in my opinion, needs to be able to generate minimum cost coverage for the service that a validator offers to them. You can do this in different ways. You can have all kind of fees. You can allow the validators to imply some math so that they actually extract value directly from the users. They sandwich you or whatever. I think what we do is kind of a different approach. Like I said, we currently try to differentiate fees from validator rewards. Fees, first of all, need to protect the network against spamming. And validators should actually have a continuous income stream produced by the network. And this is what we do with inflation. Yeah, so we every day create new tokens that will be distributed to the stakers and to the validators. So the validators take their commission for the delegated tokens that they receive from the token holders. Yeah? The fees, in the end, only fulfill the purpose of protecting the network against spamming. So they currently don't go to the validator. So in the end, you could just collect them and put them into a pot and one day do something with it. But we took a little bit the ideas of what Ethereum is doing. Yeah, so it's the same thing. Kind of with Ethereum also, you burn part of the fees, you mint new tokens, you try to find a way where the inflation of new token minting will at a certain point be eaten up by the deflation of the fee burning. Yeah? And so in the end, once IOTA will get really adopted and we have a lot of traffic on the network, the amount of fees and the amount of tokens that will be taken out of the supply via fee burning will potentially at a certain point be more than the new minted tokens. And then basically IOTA will start to become deflationary again. So in the moment, it's kind of low throughput, you have inflation. Once the network picks up to be used, you go into a kind of deflationary regime, the more traffic you get.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, you don't want to give a very high APR to the users and to validators to just dump all the rewards and actually kill your price, right?
Yes, I mean, we hope that, and this was maybe a part of also of this validator outreach that I did. So of course, there's a lot of validators out there that are a bit mercenary. We tried to find teams where you have a feeling that they actually are with us in for the long run. Yeah. So it doesn't make sense to onboard a validator and delegate to them if you know they're just going to disappear after the next bull run. They're just going to sell and be out. So what we always tried in that testnet onboarding phase was find teams where it seems like they are with us for the long run. Yeah. And speaking with all these validators was kind of enlightening, because you said it in the beginning before we recorded. As a validator, I think you have a difficult choice in where you put your resources. Yeah. So there's so many new network launches every day. So you have always a new choice to join a new network and hope that this will be the one that will make you real money. On the other hand, it's a big risk for a validator to take on a new network if you already know that this is just gonna be there for one run and then it's just gonna be disappearing. Yeah. And I think the very refreshing part of when I talked to all these validators was that they really like that we are here already since 10 years, because this gives them kind of a long-term perspective of, okay, this is probably really going to be a project that is not just going to be disappearing in 1 or 2 years, and then we sit here on our validator node and on our infra with worthless tokens. So for them, the outlook that we actually planned with these validators for the next 10 years, easy. I mean, in 10 years, we're just going to be there. We're going to make real world adoption. We're going to make trade finance, and your validator node will still run on IOTA and you're still going to continuously be rewarded for your service. Not as high as in other networks, maybe, but you don't have to worry that IOTA just disappears after the next peak, basically. Yeah. So for validators, and I think we found quite a lot of large and reputable ones, it's, I think, a good bet of having some stable network that has proven to survive 3 or 4 cycles now with ups and downs. And this is why they've been really happy to come to us. And I'm really looking forward and know that they're not gonna dump everything and just disappear in the once we have the next peak in the market. Yeah.
The Genesis ceremony is just around the corner, and
Yes.
I have one last question about validators, because I feel all this conversation was about validators, but I want to know, how did you choose the initial validators to 14, and what's the plan for scaling to 150 validators? For the first part, you've kind of mentioned that you look at the reputation that they survived multiple bear runs, bull runs, and everything, but tell me more, how do you plan to scale to 150? Because it takes a lot of coordination. We know that from experience from like Cosmos, where you have 180 validators, and to coordinate a set like this on Discord, and Discord is kind of laggy. Sometimes people don't see announcements, and I really want to know how do you plan to do it?
So for Genesis, we made the decision to start with a really small set. I mean, it's only the first day. So there will be 13 validators that bring the network to birth, because we can't do a silent launch. Yeah, usually when you launch a new network now, you launch in silence 3 or 4 weeks before the actual date. You bring everything in. Everybody is kind of easy. You can make mistakes. You can reset everything if something is fucked up and start over. We can't do that because we have to transition. We have to basically stop the current network, validate the last ledger state, and use this ledger state as the genesis state of the new network. And this actually all needs to happen within 3 to 4 hours, because we don't want to have like a day-long downtime for that upgrade. So we figured out the more validators we have in this genesis set, the more complex it will be to communicate with everyone, because all the validators will have specific tasks. They need to validate, they need to make signatures, they need to... There's a lot of coordination happening.
Different time zones.
all this, they all need to be on spot. They need to be prepared. They need to be, so we did some training sessions with these 13 already to make sure that everything actually they know what they're doing. But still, if you do this with 50 validators, it will become messy. You can always say that 10, 15% will do something wrong. They have to redo things. And so it would just be an endless fiddling around for that one event. Yeah. So Genesis Day is 13, and in the end, then the network is permissionless. Yeah. So I assume most of the validators will also set up their nodes on the first day. Then they're in the network and they can receive delegation from token holders. We, of course, from the foundation will also delegate our funds. And we can do this only also over a couple of days, because all our funds sits with custodian. So it's not just like basically you go in a wallet and you delegate to validator X and to Y. With our custodian, it's quite of a difficult process, and so we
Kind
always
of
have,
laggy.
yeah, you need like several approvers for every delegation. And so we said, okay, we're probably not going to be able to do more than 10 delegations per day, because you have to coordinate 3 or 4 people all the time to approve things. So that's our way of basically bootstrapping to the first 50. And from 50 to 150 is something that then will happen on the decision of the validators. So during the testnet, we saw that there are some stability issues if validators with, let's say, low quality hardware or with a very bad internet connection are part of the set. The consensus is a little bit sensitive on that. And so we said, okay, let's start with 50 only. And once we see this runs stable, we will make a proposal to the validators. Hey, everything is fine. Let's open, I don't know, 10 new slots. Yeah, so we plan basically every month we will have minimum 1 software update, because it's all the time improving. We have new APIs and stuff. And so if we see the network is stable, we will every month open new slots for new validators to join until we have this 150. Yeah, and then, it's kind of, it's free. If validators want to join, they can join. If they find delegation from token, yeah, it's permissionless. It's not on us. It's not like that we will continue to select the next 100 validators. We made this initial selection for the testnet basically mostly for our engineering team to find professional teams that work with us together, and that actually can contribute to the testing, that can give reports, that are capable of handling the tech in a good way. This is what we needed to make this launch possible. And from now on, basically, it's kind of really open. There will more validators join. And if the token holders decide to delegate to them, they will become part of the active set. And so we will grow this thing to 150. Yeah.
And the targeted day is 5th of May, right?
Yes, 5th of May, it's going to happen on the 5th. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And also you guys are going to replace the Firefly wallet with a new browser extension and a dashboard app. What's the thinking about shifting in the UX and tooling?
Yeah. So Firefly, first of all, Firefly was brought me into the foundation. For me personally, it's kind of sad that Firefly goes away, because I was part of the alpha tester group as a community member, and it was my first way of actually get in touch with the IOTA Foundation team, because we've done massive beta testing on that. But Firefly is a desktop app, and the workload to handling a desktop app, this need to work on Windows, on Linux, on Mac, on all kind of different Linux distributions, on all kind of year-old Windows and Mac things. So it's quite a huge workload to maintain a desktop app. Browser wallets are much easier to maintain. They have picked up in the security a lot. I mean, MetaMask, even if it's a free wallet, it's really secure. And in the end, the biggest security risk in every wallet is always the user. Yeah. So if it doesn't matter if you handle your private keys messy, neither a desktop app or a browser wallet will be safe for you. Yeah, if you don't use a ledger and you handle more than a couple of $100 in your wallet, it's risky. Doesn't matter what kind of architecture you use. Browser wallet in that sense is also much easier to implement mobile. Yeah, so kind of usually the browser apps are very similar to the mobile apps. We didn't have a Firefly mobile app because again, this was like a huge effort to build this out of based of a Windows of an app. And so from the browser side here, it's much easier. Yeah, and so it's everything you need. Yeah, use a ledger if you handle more than a couple of $100, and you will be fine with every wallet out there. Yeah.
That sounds good. And you have to take in consideration that the Firefly wallet was built some time ago. I mean,
it's
things evolve.
Yes, and it's from 2021, but of course we kept and maintained it until today. But yeah, it's in the end, it was a team of 10, 12 people that just worked on the wallet all the time, nonstop. It's quite a lot of cost. You have to figure out where you put your resources. Yeah, and so the browser wallet is easier to maintain. It's common standard used everywhere in the space. People get along and know how to use it. So, I mean, a lot of people don't have a computer anymore. So if you look into the Asian crypto users, everything is on mobile. Yeah, so they don't have a computer. They can't even install Firefly somewhere because they just don't have it. Yeah, so it really makes sense to go with some industry standards from time to time.
Full mobile.
Yeah, and go full mobile. That's mobile first is anyway. Yeah, I know. 2017, 18, exactly. We would have thought like you would never put crypto into your mobile phone. It's like super risky, but you know that's the thing.
I still don't put crypto on my phone. I'm still that guy that only uses on-chain on my laptop.
Yes. Yeah.
I use like Binance and stuff, but on-chain I don't have like a Rabi wallet or something.
Yeah.
It's just in my head. I can't do it.
I know. So for every new user, mobile is always the entrance point for crypto. And I mean, we have to grow the space. We have to get new people in. So we need to make it easy, and we need to invest a lot into UI and UX to onboard normal people. Because I mean, we are in the space a couple of years. We have actually figured out how to get along with all these UI obstacles, but I don't know. Try anybody out there that hasn't ever used crypto to set up a wallet, handle these 24 words, use a ledger. It's like, and if you think about,
it's a pain in the ass, man.
we haven't improved fundamentally in Web3 over the last 10 years. We're still fiddling around with the shit that we fiddled around 2017, and it's starting now with chain abstraction, with smart accounts and all these things. And it's really good. And even if you come from that time and you have this fundamental like PTSA of everything is unsecure and you have to put your 24 words into a metal plate and dig it in the garden, that's the only way you can protect it. But that's such a small amount of people in the world that will actually do that thing. So we have to decide, do we want to stay a very, very special, very, very small, very, very sophisticated club of, oh, we are the crypto bros, we do like secret stuff? Or do we actually want to have everybody out there on this fucking planet use a decentralized technology and make it usable for them? Yeah, they don't need to know what's happening in the background, but onboarding users is one of our main issues in the space. And I'm happy that we see now things evolving into the right direction, because kind of otherwise we will just fade away and stay relatively irrelevant if we can't make it easier for people to join.
Yeah. Since the ceremony is just around the corner, if I'm a user and not a user,
Yeah.
IOTA community member. How can I prepare? Do I need to bridge my assets? What can I
Nothing.
do to
No.
be fully prepared? Nothing.
You only need your 24 words or your ledger or your Firefly Stronghold file. The backup of your wallet. That's what you need. Once the network is live, you install the new browser wallet, you put your 24 words or you connect your ledger, and you can directly interact with your tokens. Was one for us. I mean, we did this now actually three times already, migrating a network to a new technology. It's a pain in the ass if private keys, addresses, and all the stuff changes. It was really, really difficult in 2021 when we did this the first time, and we learned a lot out of this process, and we really made sure that now basically nothing changes for a user. The only thing that changes is your address. So if you have I don't know, a whitelisted address at Binance somewhere, you will not be able to use the same address again. Behind it, it's still the same address, but it's a different derivation path. So it's not going to be an IOTA XYZ address anymore. It's going to be an OX something. It's the same private key, the same addresses, but on a different format. So you need to change your addresses that you commonly use and put your 24 words into the new wallet, and you're good. That's it.
Since we've talked a little bit about onboarding that billion people into the ecosystem,
Yes.
I want to pick your brain a little bit about how do you feel about the market and Marco? Where do you feel we are in the current crypto market cycle? We have a pro-crypto US administration. How do you see the global crypto landscape evolving?
Actually, I mean, this is maybe my nature. I'm always very, very positive, and especially in this, even in a bear market, I'm still positive. But especially now, I actually think that the market has changed in a way that not everything will automatically pump when the next hype happens. So, because we have, let's say, we have invited Wall Street, we have invited governments, we have invited kind of the big capital. It will be more selective. Bitcoin is super, super strong. I mean, kind of Bitcoin is even more in a different range now that Ethereum is having so much trouble. But I actually think we are kind of on the forefront of another run. I don't know, maybe after summer. Usually summer is a little bit low key. Actually, I think it's gonna be an interesting summer because utility projects, RWA tokenization, there's so much interesting things happening. And once the US stops doing crazy shit every week, which we don't know if the guy actually stops or if he just continue to go rogue back and forth. But if there's a little bit like stability coming in and maybe he finds some other topics to care about, I think the market will become really strong, because in the end you figure out all the issues and the obstacles that we had in the last one. I mean, exchanges got shut down, projects got sued by the SEC the whole day back and forth, people went to jail for whatever
It was
things.
a disaster.
It was a real disaster. And if you just compare it to the now environment, so all these enemies of crypto they're not there anymore. We actually have a much better playing field now. Regulators get interested, traditional finance gets interested. The public perception of crypto is also kind of changing. So I actually think that we are this is a bottom from which on the whole industry will move forward. Yeah. So I also don't see us dumping into the abyss anymore. Yeah. So kind of there will be a cool down phase of this market again. There will be a bear thing, but not as painful as the last one. For some projects, you need to have a utility. Kind of only narratives and only meme will not make the cut anymore. So this is our bet. Kind of, we want to create impact in the real world, and we think that having that impact and having actual use cases in the real world will make IOTA one of the winning projects in the years to come. Yeah.
Sounds good, and I'm really looking forward. But I want to know a little bit about you, Holger, about Phylo,
Yeah.
and what's been the hardest moment of your journey in Web3 so far, and how did you push through it?
One hard part was definitely once I learned that this initial vision of IOTA is not going to play out anymore. Kind of, this is what we do now. Like, we introduced Rebase. Of course, we internally in the foundation, we're talking about these things since much longer time. Our researchers, we are very research-driven organization. So inside the foundation, there was a lot of discussions of how we're going to change and adopt. And me coming from the side of a community member, from basically the ideas of 2017, 18, with all these promises, with all these like world-changing ideas, which brought me to IOTA, adjusting my own vision and mindset of what IOTA is, it was kind of difficult. Yeah, so it took me quite some time to digest the change and understand the advantages of it. So this was one part. Another part was maybe kind of, I've been taking care about governance in IOTA since 2021. This was one of the reasons why I actually joined the foundation. And I would say seeing that decentralized DAO governance is not playing out as you always wish it would be, is also kind of thing. I think there have been a lot of naive approaches to governance in DLT. Yeah, just let the token holders vote on something and hope they make a good decision. So this is also something that you come with a strong idea into like an idealistic thought of, wow, we're all a DAO, and there are like 100,000 anonymous people out there, and they can make great decisions by just buying tokens and voting on something. I think that's not gonna be the future of governance in DLTs. So there's still a lot of stuff to learn, and adjusting perceptions and ideas around that will be something also for IOTA in the next years to figure out something that actually works better than the systems that we currently have.
And when you are under pressure or facing like some setbacks, what tools or routines help you stay sharp, grounded, focused, and what drives you on a deeper level?
I'm pulling through, first of all, I work a lot and I enjoy. It's not work what I'm doing in IOTA, and that's, I think, the most important part. And like, looking from coming from Germany, one of the reasons why I left Germany and this chemical engineering thing was that it turned into becoming a job and work. And I figured out that it's not good for me to do things just because it's a job and I need it for money. Yeah. So went into diving because I love diving, and this is what I love to do. And I went into IOTA because
are you still diving right now?
I'm still diving, but I don't have the time for that anymore. But of course, yeah, I'm living close to the sea. So that's one thing. If I really need to, let's say, shut down the head, I go diving. Basically, put my head underwater for an hour. It's the only way for me where I completely detach myself from what's happening on the surface. As soon as I see fish underwater down there, I can completely switch off the brain, switch off the IOTA, switch off the business thinking, and it's kind of super relaxing for me to be down there. So sometimes when I feel kind of there's like, I've just like worked, because I work all day, I don't have weekends, I just work for IOTA because that's fun for me. But sometimes I need to switch off and then I take a dive, and that really resets me quite good.
Looking ahead, you guys are clearly in the long game, as you've said earlier, almost 10 years. I want to know, like a TLDR, what's the vision for IOTA in the next, like, let's
Yeah.
say, like 5 to 10 years? And what kind of applications or developers are you hoping to attract with this new architecture? And
Yeah.
how do you feel everything?
So our focus currently and over the next couple of years is clearly in the whole global trade and supply chain. I think what we figured out is also that kind of this being just a general purpose layer one, what all the others doing is kind of a difficult positioning, because you are only infrastructure. You can be used, you can be switched out, and if the next better infrastructure comes around, people and builders will shift, because there might be better incentives there. But what we've been doing since 2017 is we have a team, and that started actually in Kenya, that is really focusing on trade finance and global supply chain and logistics. And I think this is our USP. Over the years, we have built strong relationships with governments, and in the whole global trade sector, we're rolling out use case and applications that actually will tokenize the supply chain and will bring tokenized supply chain assets onto the ledger, onto the network, and then enable these tokenized assets to interact with DeFi. Yeah, and so you're kind of creating this kind of this economy, and in the same time you're solving a real problem in the world, because global supply chains and global trade is super messy. It's like everything is stuck in 1990s with everything in some kind of weird Excel sheets, and people write thing on paper and put it in the ship and in the harbor, and stuff gets lost and nobody knows what's going on. There's no trust, there's no tracking of things. And so we see this as one of the first real global adoption cases for DLT, where it just fits perfectly into what you can do with a DLT. You can achieve global trust, you can achieve global coordination, and you can bring thousands of global players that actually don't trust each other into a standardized system where they don't need to trust each other. This is the big issue in the moment in global trade, why it costs a lot of money to do these things, because kind of there's like nobody trusts each other. And having an infrastructure like IOTA as the underlying architecture for that, with ports, with governments, with all the freight forwarders, everything kind of, as soon as it's tokenized, it's verifiable, it's trackable, and it can't be changed or falsified by a single entity anymore. And we are really having a great adoption use case happening there, where we're actually already tokenizing the whole trade flow out of Kenya into the UK, partially in the EU, and we're getting more countries on board on that thing. So we will kind of focus a large part of our efforts into building everything that is needed for that global trade, logistic, and supply chain system to happen on chain. Yeah? And this is one of our large focus areas. And the other focus area, this is more from the Web3 perspective, is then, okay, once we have these assets on chain and this is like $1 trillion industry. Like global trade is like super massive. There's like so much capital involved. Once you have that on chain, you can think about, okay, what kind of decentralized finance applications can you offer to these traders, to these organizations, that actually make it for them more profitable and more effective to have these assets on chain. Yeah? So you can start to think about having lending markets where you can collateralize trade invoices, or where you can collateralize your stock and your global trade routes and things like this. And you can basically take out a loan against a tokenized supply chain asset. And this is all, as long as it's happening in a decentralized way, it's actually, I think, a really cool showcase of why DLTs are so useful for normal people in the end.
Thank you for this, Holger. We are now entering the last chapter of the podcast, and we want to wrap things up with some rapid fire questions to get a sense of where your head's at when it comes to crypto. But
Okay.
for this one, just quick top of mind answers.
Yeah.
Favorite crypto project outside of IOTA?
Layer 0.
Most underrated use case in Web3?
I think digital identity. Even if I'm not deep into that, but digital identity and DIDs is very low key, but super important.
Overrated idea on Web3 right now?
How is that stuff called that base is coming up there? Content coins. Complete bullshit.
It's still new. I think a lot of people don't
Just
know.
like 2 weeks ago. So content coins, and I mean, yeah, memes are for fun, but don't try to put some serious stuff. Don't try to make memes into something that it's just like, it's fun, nothing more. Don't put money in it.
Top 3 crypto apps you personally use?
Oh God, if you really want to know what I'm actually using, it's basically Stargate, Jumper Exchange, and yeah, in the end, Ruby Wallet or MetaMask. Kind of, it's the standard things that you interact with every day, wallets and interchain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
One piece of advice you'd give to new builders entering the space?
Focus on figure out what your users actually want to do. Yeah, kind of don't build just like the thing that you think it's cool. Figure out what is needed in the market and what solves a problem of your users. If you don't solve a problem, nobody needs you. People need to need you. Once they need you, you will become super successful.
What's one non-crypto book, film, podcast, person that deeply influenced how you lead or think today?
That's hard. Kind of. There's like, and you asked me that before. And I actually think it's maybe Stephen Hawking, A Short History of Time. That book, when I don't know, I read it when I was maybe 14 or 15. It completely shifted. I mean, it talks about reality and time and all these things, and kind of once you read it as a boy, it completely switches. Yeah.
Changes your mindset.
Completely. And that's what got me really into science, into technology, into trying to figure out what's happening in the universe. So kind of was an eye-opener in that age.
And before we wrap this up, where can people follow IOTA and stay updated?
Our X account, usually, yeah, just x.iota, our website, www.iota.org. Join our Discord. We have a really fun community. They're sometimes grumpy, but they're with us since 2017, and they're very, very, very. They went through all the shit with us, and they will be super, super crazy once the market turns around. So it's a very, very funny and very, very interesting community. I love them. So if you want to have a good time, join our Discord. Besides that, follow us on X. We have a Telegram group. We have a website. But that's the best place to be. Yeah.
Yeah, and especially because you are on OG from the community, because that's where you started your journey from, right?
Yes, yes. So kind of for me, the IOTA Discord is still my day-to-day hangout place between. I don't have it's actually sad because especially with this launch preparation the last 6 months, I didn't have real time to do something in Discord. But whenever I have half an hour time, I enjoy reading and talking some bullshit with the OGs there. So yeah, it's good.
Yeah, thank you for this, man. It was a blast. Thank you for your time.
Absolutely, man. It was great talking to you again. Like I said, I'm really happy that you're part of our validator set. It was cool to have found you, and good luck with the podcast. Good luck with your other plans you told me before. That sounds good. Yeah.
Thanks, man. Have a great one.
Thanks, man. Have a nice one. Thanks, everybody, and yeah, just hang in. We're gonna make it all.
Exactly.
Okay.